Here's what's coming up in episode 185. Jeffrey Peck.
Evidential mediumship to me is really bringing through true evidence as to who these people are. Evidence that is not Googleable. And one day I just threw an absolute fit with heaven. And I just screamed. I said, I will do whatever I am supposed to do for you. I will do whatever I am supposed to do, but I will not do it broke. I can't. I just can't. And I closed my eyes for a second and I said, all I want to do from the very core of who I am, I just want to give you a big hug. I just want to hug you so hard. And she gasped and she said, he was known for his hugs. He was known for his hugs.
I'm like, okay, I'm seeing lots of cool stuff, but I think I'm looking at just the back of my eyelids. I'm like, is that my third eye? And she's like, nope, dude, that's just your eyelids.
Welcome to the Big Seance Podcast. I'm Patrick Keller of BigSeance.com, and this is a place for an open discussion on all things paranormal, but specifically topics like ghosts and hauntings, paranormal research, spirit communication, psychics and mediums, and life after death. So basically, anything that pops up in my paranormal world. The candles are already lit, so you might as well come on in and join the seance.
Jeffrey Peck is an evidential psychic medium with a loving and sensitive approach to spirit. His commitment and dedication, combined with his warm understanding and compassionate style, provide you with clarity and peace of mind. A session with Jeffrey will leave you with a clear knowing that your loved ones are still a part of your life and with a sense of healing and hope. Every medium has their story of awakening. For Jeffrey, it came later in life and totally unexpected. Although there was always an inner knowing that there was more to life than what appeared on the surface, he didn't start experiencing spirit communication until he began healing himself and others through the use of his hands and Reiki. It became apparent through the healing that his gifts went beyond the physical hands and to the other side we know as spirit. Spirit began speaking to him that his purpose has changed. Following Spirit's guidance, he was led to incredible mentors to study under, such as Lynn Probert, Chris Drew, and Tony Stockwell at the esteemed Arthur Findlay College, which we love to talk about here in England, and international psychic medium and teacher Colby Rebel. Currently, Jeffrey resides in the San Francisco Bay Area with his two beautiful golden retrievers and sees clients on a professional basis. He is continuously guided and inspired by spirit. You can learn more about Jeffrey by visiting jeffreypeck.com. Jeffrey, I have followed you for a while now. I think we have our connection. I think it was originally Slade Robertson, who we're both buds with. And I think it's about time that you have come into the Parlor and on the show. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much. I'm awesome. And it's so great to be sitting here with you.
And you were vaccinated today. I'm so excited about that. So I keep on asking you, are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm
Are
good.
we good?
So far, so good.
He has so much energy today and I'm loving it. I'm like, man, give me some of that energy, please.
Thank you.
So tell us about your awakening story and about your experiences at Arthur Findlay College, a place we just love hearing about here.
In November of 2006, I became attuned to the Reiki. And I did it initially to help my mother. My mom has suffered with chronic pain for years, and along with my grandmother before her, and with osteoarthritis and degenerative disc disease and fibromyalgia. Nothing was working. She was just in constant pain day in and day out. And it had come across my field. And I said, what's that? It was explained to me. And I thought, well, if anybody can do this, why not give it a try? What do we have to lose, right? So I found a Reiki master when I was living in Phoenix. And November 11th, 2006, I became attuned to the Reiki for the first time in level 1. What I was not expecting was that a side effect for me was that it completely ignited the spiritual senses. It was fascinating because I had these experiences through the attunements with my Reiki master. I had these feelings, these sensations. Sometimes it feels like, have you had a Reiki treatment?
I have not, never.
So for me, I mean, it feels like these warm sensations of heat flowing through my body, almost like a slight pressure on the outside, right next to your skin, but not touching your skin. Sometimes it feels like you've got 10,000 butterflies flapping their wings really close to your skin, but not touching you, you know? So I had these really incredible experiences during this weekend of learning. And my Reiki master gave us homework for the next month. For the next 30 days, we were supposed to sit with ourselves for an hour and give ourselves a Reiki treatment. During these sessions with myself, I started to witness colors, sensing beings. I'd see little vignettes of movies that I know weren't memories for me. And they weren't of any like movies that I'd seen. And it was all coming from a place that I just didn't understand. And after probably 3 weeks of this, I know I'm sitting upright with my legs crossed, hands on my body where they're supposed to be. I know I wasn't dreaming. There was no way I could have been asleep. There's no way. I felt like I was losing my mind a little bit and I didn't understand what was happening. I talked with my Reiki master about this and she just smiled and said, "You're opening up to spirit. You're opening up to spirit. You're going to be a huge channel one day." And I was like, what? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's how it started. That's how it started. And shortly thereafter, I was doing Reiki treatments on people on the outside. I got myself a massage table and dragged it around with me. And through word of mouth, I was going to people's houses and having really incredible experiences working on them, where I was seeing a lot of these visions of them and getting feelings about them and almost like knowingness coming through until about maybe within the next year, I was working on somebody and suddenly I felt a spirit, somebody who had crossed over. All unintentional. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew that it was a grandfather. I knew it was his grandfather. I can't tell you how I knew at the time. So I said, "Do you mind if I talk to you about this? Because I feel like I'm supposed to." He's like, "Okay." So I just started talking about this grandfather and I started describing his personality and where he lived. And suddenly his grandfather showed me this great big apple tree in the backyard. And when I see these pictures, they come with feelings at the same time. So I saw this picture in my mind of this big apple tree and it came with this feeling of real pride, pride, like that's my tree. People will know me for that tree. I was so proud of that tree. And I started talking about it and he just gasped. He's like, "Yeah, my grandfather had that tree and he gave, apples. Everybody knew him for it." So that was the first time that it really I knew that spirit was taking me somewhere else other than just the hands-on healing.
And you got confirmation in that first time.
Completely. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, that would be a magical moment.
Yeah, a successful contact,
And this is all before Arthur Findlay, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't go to Arthur Findlay until summer of 2019. So just 2 years ago. So yeah, it was the very, very early stages. So after that, I had some experiences with some other teachers along the way. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And when you're open and receptive and you're like, okay, here we go. Teach me, show me your way. I did experience more mediumship and really aha moments. But in 2008, 2009, after the crash, that's when I was doing mortgages in the 2000s. 2008, the crash happened. I lost my house to bankruptcy and foreclosure. I lost my car to repossession. I lost my career. I lost an 11-year relationship. I lost the rug was pulled. Like everything that was no longer working for me, gone. And I knew I was supposed to be moving forward with spirit. But when you don't have an income to pay your mortgage or your rent, or you don't know where the food is going to be coming from, you're trying to move forward with spirit, market yourself, get business. And it was just too scary because the bills were coming faster than the business was. You know what I mean? So as that was happening, I would have these experiences with spirit, but I wasn't fully buying into it that I was a medium yet. I knew I had these experiences, but I just wasn't buying into it. And I just thought, like Slade has heard me say this a few times, I just thought, I think I might be a really good guesser.
Did you get your hand smacked for that?
I pretty much did. Yeah. Because then the evidence just kept coming and coming and coming. In 2010, I was living with friends. I was couch surfing after the bankruptcy, all that stuff. I just didn't have anywhere to go yet. So friends were helping me out. And I was trying to do readings for people. And one day I just threw an absolute fit with heaven. I mean, a full-blown temper tantrum. And I just screamed. I said, I will do whatever I am supposed to do for you. I will do whatever I am supposed to do, but I will not do it broke. I can't. I just can't. Suddenly, within 6 months, divine synchronization, I suddenly found myself on the doorstep of an older couple who needed a personal assistant. They were on my doorstep when I needed a job. And boom, that was my last 10 years. So working with them for the last 10 years set me up in a place where now I don't have to worry about finances and I can move forward without that financial stress, and just move forward. So that's where I am today.
Well, you talk about synchronicity. Do you think that brief setback after finding spirit, do you think that was meant to be to give you more time because
Completely.
You weren't ready? Yeah.
Undoubtedly. Yeah, undoubtedly. It showed me more of who I was becoming. And then being given this opportunity to work in a way to set myself up to where I know that I was going to be working like spirit as my boss, right? And I knew that was coming. It was magic. It was just absolute magic. And somewhere around 2015, 2016, spirit started knocking on the windows again. Yoo-hoo, knock, 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 yoo-hoo, on the windows, on the doors. And suddenly I just had this overwhelming obsession with all things mediumship. Any medium that wrote a book, I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Any medium that was on TV, I saw every episode. 2015 podcasts were really starting to gain traction. Any podcast with mediums, paranormal, you name it, including yours, I just couldn't get enough.
Yeah, now you're resonating with me. That was me. It's like books started arriving at the door. They didn't stop.
Yeah.
I couldn't even read them fast enough.
Right. So I knew what spirit was setting me up for. I knew from the very core of my insides what I was going to be doing. And I knew that after the job was over, whenever it was or however it ended, I knew that this is where I was going. Back in, I think it was 2016 or 17, whenever Sandra Champlain started her We Don't Die,
mm-hmm.
In her solo episodes when she talked about her experiences at Arthur Findlay, I didn't know about Arthur Findlay before her. And when she started talking about it, I felt that vibration from the very inside, bing. And I was like, I know that's where I'm going.
Yes,
that's
please.
Where I'm going. Yep. So when my job ended in November of 2018, within the first week, I was already online looking at the next year, trying to figure out what courses I was going to take, which classes. And then it all happened. It was amazing. I was working with Colby Rebel. She was mentoring me. And I started out working with her in November of 2018 after the job ended. And she was working with me, mentoring me on the psychic level, giving me exercises to do during the week, practice sessions to do with friends. And I had told her that I was planning on going to Arthur Findlay. Right before starting with her, I was talking to heaven and I was like, listen, I've got a whole year's worth of I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens of courses. I didn't know what I was supposed to look at. I didn't know when I was supposed to go. And I was like, okay, Evan, you know what? I need some help trying to figure out when I'm going to go, what classes are for me. So I was talking to Colby and she goes, ooh, she said, Jeff, let me take care of this for you. I need you to go with the right people. You can't go with just with anybody. You gotta resonate with them. They gotta, know what they're talking about. Well, boom, suddenly Colby became my guidance counselor, for spirit. And so she said, okay, I looked at it all, picked these 2 weeks, and I just said, okay, got online, signed up for them, and boom, there I was, summer of 2019.
That's awesome. And I think it's important for people to realize, sometimes people think, oh, there's people going out there just all of a sudden just randomly getting trained to being a medium, and then they're doing it. This is something you were already doing, gradually kind of working into and having experiences with. And then this was just a big experience to add to that.
Completely. Yep. And I started intentionally practicing in March of 2019. And actually, I got a hold of you and asked you if I could work with some people in your group. So I worked with some people in your group. I worked with some people in Slade's group.
And by the way, some of those people contacted me, and they were giving you rave reviews. I don't remember who that was, but you were finding success in my group. I can tell you that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. That means a lot, especially like the first readings, right out the one toe out the door,
Mm-hmm.
So over the next 3 months, I did, I think maybe like 24 or 27 practice readings, which I thought was a lot in that time frame. And then I went to England in June of 2019, and going there was surreal. It was so surreal. First of all, I just knew I was supposed to go. I didn't even really think much of it. I just knew I was supposed to. I didn't give it much thought, so I wasn't scared or nervous for any reason. I just didn't really think about it. I just knew that's where I was going until I got there. And then I started to panic. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I was in this massive old world English mansion. And, people talk about it being like Hogwarts, and it really is. There's this energy about it. And everybody running around is psychic medium. And everybody speaks the same language. And that first day, I was so scared because I'd been talking with quite a few people, and so many people have been there multiple times, 5 times, 8 times, 9 times. One lady was there 19 times. And what I realized, it turned out to be kind of a place where psychic mediums go on vacation. That's their go-to getaway. But it was really scary. And the main tutor who was heading up that week, his name is Chris Drew. He's an incredible medium in the UK. He wanted to meet with everybody to have a chat with them to see where they were in their experiences, how long they've been doing it, what their level was. There were 60 people in the group, divided up between 4 tutors. So it was about 15 people per group. And he was just trying to match, beginners, advanced, in between, that kind of thing. And I sat with him and I said, listen, I just started practicing 3 months ago, and I have had some pretty amazing experiences. But as far as my level, I'm about as green as they get. So wherever you want to put me, I said, I trust spirit. I trust you that you'll know where to put me, and that's going to be perfect. It's very similar to Harry Potter and the Sorting Hat. When the hat goes on, are you going to be in this house or this house or this house? The next morning we wake up and we see the list on the wall, and I was in Chris's group. And I thought, oh, that's awesome, because I knew that Chris was a contact of Colby's. So I felt like there was somebody we had something in common with Colby. And we sit down in class that day, and Chris says, hey, do you guys know what a water baby is? And everybody kind of looks around, and we're like, well, I don't think so. And he said, a water baby. He says, mothers of infants, like 6 months old, they take them swimming and they just toss them in the water, And he said, the babies, their instinct, they automatically know to hold their breath. They automatically know to dog paddle. And when they float to the top, they instinctively know to flip over. And they're just like, hey, I got this, And he said, Jeff is our water baby. He is instinctively connected to spirit. He doesn't quite know that yet. So he's with us in the advanced group because he needs to be. And I was like, holy cow. I was in the advanced group. And yeah, so it was spectacular. It was absolutely spectacular. The very first experience that I had that first day in class, he says, everybody pair up. We paired up. He said, decide who's the medium and who's the sitter. The gal I was with asked me if I would go first. I just took a deep breath. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go first. Then he says, mediums, close your eyes. So we closed our eyes. And he says, your next piece of instruction, sitters, get up and find yourself a new medium. He says, when you get up, be silent about it. I don't want the mediums to know whether they have a man or a woman sitting in front of them. Everybody settles down. Chris says, your last piece of instruction, sitters, grab your pad of paper and your pen and take notes. You are not to give your medium any validation, no yeses, no nos, no taps on the knees, no nothing. Mediums, keep your eyes closed. Sitters, take notes, and mediums, give what you get. I was like, okay, here we go. All right, heaven, here we go. Here goes nothing. And suddenly I felt this late teen boy with me. And I told her, I said, I have a late teen, 18 or 19-year-old boy here. And I started to describe his personality. And he showed me a car accident. I said, there were 2 others in the car with him. And I have to say, Mom, it was an accident. Mom, it was an accident. Mom, it was an accident. I heard the name James a couple of times, so I finally said it. And there were a few other things that I said. I don't quite remember everything. But at the very end, Chris said, all right, mediums, wrap it up. And I opened my eyes to this beautiful lady sitting in front of me. And she had tears running down her face. She was scrambling, trying to write these notes as fast as she could. And she said, before he goes, is there anything else that he wants to say? Is there anything else that he can say? And I closed my eyes for a second and I said, all I want to do from the very core of who I am, I just want to give you a big hug. I just want to hug you so hard. And she gasped and she said, oh, he was known for his hugs. He was known for his hugs.
Wow.
So it was her son. He was 18 years old. He was in a car accident with 2 of his friends. They weren't sure if it was an accident or not. They weren't sure if they were horsing around, It was just a purely an accident. And he made that very clear. His middle name was James. And that was my very first exercise and my very first day at my own personal Hogwarts.
And so you went outside and did a cartwheel in the grass, or?
Yes, pretty much. I was just beside myself. It's really hard to explain. For me, not having the story of so many of my medium colleagues where their story is, it started for me when I was in the crib. I talked to my dead grandmother when I was 3 years old in the crib, they lived their whole life with it. But for me, I haven't had that whole lifetime of experience, So it is just, each one is so magical and so miraculous to me and so surprising to me. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Now I'm curious because I'm sure that that was a great start and kickoff to that experience, but I'm sure you had some frustrating moments too. There had to have been some struggle, right?
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. Absolutely. There were times when it was like nothing but crickets, like, is anybody there? or am I in the way? Or am I just having a panic attack and trying to work? Am I trying too hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of those moments because those moments help us understand the difference between blending with spirit versus trying to search for it ourselves personally. We don't have to search for it. The spirit blends with us and then they just speak through us, and there's a totally different feeling.
What happens when that happens now with the client if nothing comes through?
That's a really good question. I got to knock on wood because I actually haven't had that. I haven't had that happen for with a client. I have not had that happen yet.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, Now in my circle, I get together with about 10 other mediums with Colby once a week.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those circles.
Oh, it's so cool because Colby gives us these exercises that are so challenging, and it pushes you. Like for me, it's like going to the spiritual gym. It's like the days, like, if you're a gym goer or a runner. I've never been a gym goer, but I've been a runner. And there are times when I knew I needed to run. I totally did not want to go. I just didn't want to go. Got myself out there, came back and was like, I feel so good. I'm so glad I went. It's very similar with the circles because it is like a spiritual gym. More often than not, I don't want to go, or I'm nervous, or I am feeling a little insecure. Like, what if it doesn't work, or what if it's, but that's why we're there, to understand those moments when it's not working and try to figure out what it is within ourselves, how we're blocking ourselves. But yeah, it's like the spiritual gym, and we get together and she gives us these exercises that are off the wall. Like one particular night she gave us 3 minutes to connect with 3 people and bring through their personalities, their hobbies, their likes, their message, all with just 3 people within 3 minutes, and that's not what would happen in real life, sitting down with the person. But yeah, it forces you to push yourself, and you just get stronger and stronger.
Is it also kind of like a game? It's like how mediums play when they're with other mediums.
Well,
it's like going to play charades with a group of people or something.
Yes. It is. It ends up being, each night is just so much fun. Even though there's a little bit of hesitation and not wanting to go, because like I said, it's like going to the gym, but then you get in it, and then we just have a blast.
Yeah.
And we learn so much about ourselves in those 2 hours.
So what is evidential mediumship to you?
Evidential mediumship to me is really bringing through true evidence as to who these people are. Evidence that is not Googleable. Of course, there are skeptics out there, and I encourage people to hear a medium with skepticism, because we're just people, right? We're just people, and we're just the voice box for whomever is with us. And we might misinterpret something that's being said because of our own filters from our own experiences in our own lives. But the evidence that comes through is evidence of, who they are, the personality, memories that they cherished with their people that I'm sitting with. Memories I hear so often, I completely forgot about that. Oh my God. That they just take with them and go, oh, that is so beautiful. Evidence of, their jobs or their hobbies, things they love to do, evidence of their illnesses and how they passed, evidence of conversations that they had with the people sitting in front of me, especially conversations that happen in those final moments. Those are so special. And for a sitter to hear those words, knowing that their person who passed did hear everything they said, even though they thought there's no way they can hear them because maybe they were, unconscious or in a coma, or, but they hear everything in those final moments, and then they hear everything on the other side. So yeah. So to me, that's the evidence, just bringing through the pieces of who they are, what they are, who they were.
Is there a medium that you haven't met that you are just dying to meet?
Yes, there are a number, actually. I adore Teresa Caputo.
Mm-hmm.
I adore Tyler Henry.
Yes.
I adore John Edward.
Mm-hmm.
I adore John Holland. I adore Thomas John, but I've met him a few times. There are some in England that I wish I would have met, the old school mediums that we stand on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Gordon Higginson, Mavis Patilla, people like that. A lot of them are gone, but
yeah. Another question I always like to ask my medium friends, because, the rest of us in this community, we like our tools because, sometimes we have to have the tools. If we're not a medium, we love our gadgets and the Ouija board and other things like that. Do you have any tools that you still like that you tend to use, or do you no tools?
I love all things spirit. All things spirit. Behind me on my shelves, you can't see them all, but I have about 190 decks of cards, tarot cards, angel cards, you name it. I've got spirit boards, a ton of crystals, pendulums. Yeah, I love all that stuff. Do I use it in my mediumship? No, but I love to play with them. They're just, they're just fun to tinker around with.
It's funny. Like I don't always love to practice with all the tools. I love the Ouija board. I am fascinated by them. Sometimes I like to collect them. I don't like go out of my way to collect them, but I also I've gotten to the point where I'm out of patience trying to use them. Nothing ever happens with me. I'm with Karen A. Dahlman sometimes and it'll work a little bit, but it's like a child trying to communicate because of, my energy is new at it, but it takes a lot of patience. And, my arms, like after 30 seconds, my arms are like, oh, do I have to keep doing this? So like with a lot of these tools, I use them now every now and then. I love to experiment with them when I first get them and learn about them. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Next.
Yeah.
But, some of us rely on them and, some of us don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual people, a lot of times, we act like we don't need a lot of our possessions and we, are the opposite of materialistic. But at the same time, I know we have our treasured possessions. Do you, what's your most treasured possession?
That's a great question.
Did I stump you?
Yeah, well, actually kind of. Yeah. In 2000, like I told you, in 2008, I lost everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Recently I went through a divorce. Lost most stuff. So when it comes to my stuff, I've learned that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. So when you said, what are your most treasured possessions? My first response was just going to be my dogs. But thinking of like just true stuff, I love my TV.
Okay.
I love my TV.
Honesty, I love it.
Yep. I love my TV.
I love it. But I also loved that the first thing that came to your mind were your dogs.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful dogs, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they are sweet peas.
Yeah. When I think of the handful dog that we currently have, and there's two of us with our one dog, and I think about having myself and having two dogs, that makes me want to cry a little bit. That's a lot of work.
Oh, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I had two dogs in my marriage and one of them was taken away. So Asher was not himself after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did get Asher a little sister. She's a year old now, but I equate this to what motherhood must be like and childbirth. I think that there's a lot of pain in childbirth. But a lot of them say that they truly forget about that pain once the baby's there, and then they have more and more and more, and they just keep forgetting about the pain because the joy is overwhelming. And it's the same thing. Like I completely forgot about the puppyhood and how much work that is. Woo! Yeah. Coming out of that now. So
yeah,
it is a lot of work.
Our last puppy, was a couch snoozer and was just as lazy as we were when we wanted to be, and didn't like to play. So that was weird, but I was like, okay, cool. We can dig that. Like, we don't have to jump up and play and throw balls and all that kind of stuff. And he was our baby. And when we got another dog, we kind of expected that. And this dog is not that. This dog is, I need your attention now. We are going to go play for approximately 30 minutes.
Yes.
And then you can do what you want to do.
Yes. Yes.
What is something going on in your world right now that you are really excited about?
I am really excited about the work that I'm doing with spirit. I mean, it's such a passion for me. The readings that I've been doing, I'm currently working with Colby for 6 months on a platform course, the platform is the stage, basically. It's in front of the audience. And so I've been doing a lot of my own practice work with groups on the Zoom. And it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And I think about where this is going and I feel where this is going. And it is just so exciting to me. It's just so exciting. And then having said that, the other thing that I'm most excited about is the new relationship that is in my life after coming out of the divorce. That was a synchronicity that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a miracle in itself.
So came when you weren't looking for it.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Mm-hmm.
What is something that you've been super curious about lately?
You know what? I'll tell you. I'm going to go right back to spirit because this is my all day, every day.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the clairaudience and how that works within myself. I'm very visual. I'm super visual. I see pictures, movies. When the loved ones on the other side show me their memories, I see them like a little vignette. But the clairaudience, the sounds, I hadn't quite figured that out on my insides yet. I expected that I would hear, for instance, if I was talking to a 94-year-old Jewish grandmother from Connecticut, I was expecting to hear her 94 or whatever I just said, age voice, Jewish grandmother accent. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I expected to hear in my head, but that's never happened for me. So the clairaudience is, I know it's online, but I haven't truly experienced it until a couple of weeks ago with another one of my tutors. And it was incredible because she told me, she said, all right, you know what the exercise we're going to do? She goes, we're going to start. You're going to read for me. And she said, before you even know if it's a man or a woman or a mother or a father or whatever, they're going to give you a sound. And you listen to that sound. It's going to be a sound that was really relevant in their life. Could be church bells, could be a sound of a motorcycle, could be, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, all right, this is fun. Okay, cool. So she says, put yourself in your power. Okay, so I get myself all centered. And all of a sudden, I hear a sewing machine inside my head. And I was like, oh, Lynn, I hear a sewing machine. She goes, excellent, keep going. And I heard it speed up. I heard it slow down. You know that little gas pedal on the floor?
I know exactly the sound you're talking about. Yeah.
So I heard it speed up. I heard it slow down. And then she'd say, now who's behind that? And I was like, ooh. And then it all started to connect. And I said, it's a little grandmother. It's this grandmother that, like, I'm 5'6". I by no stretch am tall. So when a spirit on the other side makes me feel really tall, I know they're tiny, right? And it turns out she's like 4'10" or 4'11", Yeah. So I experienced this with the sewing machine. And then Lynn says to me, she goes, now, Jeff, she goes, I have two grandmothers. Both of them had sewing machines. Give me one more piece of evidence so I can determine who we have. All of a sudden, I hear the sewing machine again. And now I hear humming in my head. And I was like, ooh, it's the grandmother that hummed while she was working at the sewing machine. She would hum and sing to herself. She goes, excellent. So figuring out how that comes into play with all of the other information that's coming in simultaneously, that's what I've been most curious about. And I just I want to scream it from a mountaintop, Ah!
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I am going to guess that you're also a little clairsentient.
Very
well.
clairsentient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's not that, you're just clairvoyant mainly. You've got other clairs.
Yeah, no. I mean, we all do. We all do. Some of us, for me, the visual piece is stronger. The feeling piece is stronger. But we all do. And I truly believe that I am firing on all four or more cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
I have smelled a cigar. I have smelled roses. I know that I'm firing on all cylinders. And it's just really getting an understanding of, what those feel like and what they, like you hear people say, oh, I just heard him say this, or I just heard him say that, or I just heard him say that. So another part to clairaudience is words just plop in my head, and I haven't quite determined if that's a claircognizance where it's knowing, or if it's a part of how my clairaudience works. Because when I get names, The names are just there. Oh, that takes me back to another circle night with Colby, where she said she had these volunteers on standby. She splits us off into these rooms in Zoom. We're with a volunteer. She said, your main goal, she said, don't give any information outside of identifying who they are. And once you know, and they know who you have, all I want you to bring through are names in the family that they know, names of the family members, friends, whomever. Yeah. And I got like 6 or 7 names and they were just like, yeah, still trying to figure that out. So yeah, that's my big curiosity.
I love where that question took us. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So Tim from the Parlor has a question for you. And that is, when it comes to learning to connect with spirit, many mediums speak of sitting in the power as opposed to meditation. I would be most interested to learn Jeffrey's view on what his interpretation of sitting in the power is. Is this something you use?
Absolutely. 100%. Sitting in the power is very important because it's more than meditation. When you are sitting in meditation, it's a very passive state. When you're sitting in the power, it's more active. You are intentionally sitting with your soul. You are intentionally sitting with spirit, with the power of spirit, the power that is within all of us. It's the power that makes the grass grow, the trees grow. It's the power that powers the waves in the ocean, the earthquakes, the clouds blowing across the sky. You know, it's that power that is in all of this that we sit with. It's that spirit. And you really learn to determine and understand the difference of sitting with your own soul versus the true source, God, spirit, universe, whatever anybody wants to call it. It's kind of all the same thing, you know. But yeah, it's very important because it's in that power where we blend with the souls on the other side. It's when in that power where our soul blends with their souls and those two bubbles coming together, the information starts to come through. Yeah, it's very important. For a while, I did it every day. One of my tutors in England said, you don't have to do it every day. But yeah, I do it. I try to do it at least 4 times a week.
Well, Jeanette from the Parlor has a pretty big question, and I'm going to read the whole thing, but then we can break it up into chunks if we need to. But
sure.
Jeanette says, hello, a big long hello. And she says, when I close my eyes, I don't see dark. I see a lot of different things and sometimes full images or just wisps. I don't know what this is. Also, when I speak to spirit or guides, or just say whoever is there, often I will get a big tingle up my spine, back of my head, and through my arms and legs. I am not a person who hears voices. I've not experienced a voice audibly talking to me, etc., or see spirit. I'm still feeling as though I am trying to believe what it is that I'm experiencing is outside of myself, meaning I'm not making it up. It's real. I can't believe I'm alone with these experiences. Is there anything here that you can speak to for those of us cracking open spiritually, so to speak?
Completely. That was me in the first 30 days that I was telling you about. When I was sitting there in the first 30 days in my walk-in closet, it was like my spiritual cocoon. I'd take my crystals in there and my music and a little lamp and just disappear. And that's when everything that Jeanette just spoke about, I was experiencing. I'd close my eyes and boom, I would see a kaleidoscope of colors everywhere. I would start to see little pictures of this and that. And and the feeling that she felt, the tingles down her back, 100%. That is either your guardian angels, your guides, your loved ones, even, your crossed over loved ones. They stand with us. And when we get into that sensitive state, that moment where we truly are open and receptive and feeling spirit, that's how we feel them. It's the chilly bumps that go from head to toe. It's the chilly bumps that go up our spine. It's so exciting to start to open up to that and to truly know that it is real. It is so real. And you're not making it up. You're not going crazy. One of the things that I heard years and years and years ago, and I actually, now that I think about this, I never really looked it up. So I don't know if it's how true it is, but it's set inside of me. So it's true for me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody had said that Joan of Arc, when she was about to be killed, they told her that it was all in her imagination. She wasn't talking to God. It was all in her imagination. And she said, well, how else would he talk to me? And it just rang so true for me, because Spirit does use our imagination, uses our experiences that we have had throughout our lifetime, the filters that we have, the experiences that we know, as mediums, depending on their spiritual dictionary, we all have different symbols, and it's because of our different experiences.
In different generations too.
Completely. Yeah. All of that. So it is through the imagination that Spirit communicates with us on our inside. It's that the mind's eye that sees all of this. And it's just awesome. I love it. Great question, Jeanette. Thank you, Tim. That was awesome.
Yeah. And there's a few things that Jeanette said that resonated with me too. And one of them is that early on in my spiritual shift, I did go through some mediumship classes and, read a lot of books to try to, I thought I was going to jump in and be a medium, and I was so excited about it. And I was, jumping in big to the meditation, and I'm trying to open my third eye. And it's like, third eye, open up, third eye. And I keep telling my friend Marilyn Painter, who was my first guest on the show, and she is a great medium. And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing lots of cool stuff, but I think I'm looking at just the back of my eyelids. I'm like, is that my third eye? And she's like, nope, dude, that's just your eyelids. So I'm like, well, guess I don't have a third eye. Much of that going on right now. So that's what that made me think of when I read Jeanette's question. But yeah, thank you, Tim. And thank you, Jeanette, for jumping in. This sounds like Jeanette's got some exciting things going on too.
Yeah, she does. I love that face.
Yeah. Jeffrey, what's going on in your world? And, coming up, is there any final thoughts you have? And, somewhere in all that, you can also tell us where to find you.
Okay. What's going on in my world? So I, as you know, Patrick, because you were my my sound producer, is that what I call you? You helped me out with my with my intro and outro. So I'm working on a podcast coming out. I hope to launch it by summer, and it's called Something Super Spiritual. I will have guests, interviews. I want to share all of my spiritual friends and teachers with everybody out there. I will be doing mediumship readings. So I can be found on Facebook at Jeffrey Peck Medium. I can be found on Instagram at Jeffrey Peck Medium. And my website is jeffreypeck.com, JEFFREYPECK.com. And I'll be putting some calls out for people who would like to sit with me for little mediumship sessions for the podcast.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And also for your audience, anybody who would like to sit down with the reading with me on Zoom, put in the promo code BIGSeance10 for 10% off.
Shut up. Awesome. Cool.
Yes. Big Seance 10.
Thank you for that. Exciting.
Thank you for this.
I just might jump into that.
Please do.
Like I said, it's about time that you have come into the parlor and joined us. And I love your energy. And like I said earlier, when I started getting feedback from peeps who took advantage of your offer to give readings for practice, a year or so ago, I knew that something was going on and that you've got a cool future ahead of you. So I am excited, and I'm excited to see if you have people reaching out to you with questions too.
Thank you. you know what? I also wanted to say, Spirit is always speaking to us. Spirit is always speaking to us. We are all wired the same way because we are spiritual beings living in this meat suit, right? We are all spiritual beings. Spirit, our loved ones, they want to talk to us as much as we want to talk to them. And they're always guiding us, giving us signs. Signs come in the form of, feathers, coins, birds, bluebirds, cardinals, hawks, hummingbirds, butterflies, anything that catches your eye and gives you pause. Like, Or, sometimes when really like a hummingbird might come up and do flutter like this in front of your face for like far too long, what's going on? That's our loved ones blending with their energy, the energy of the bird, the butterfly, to get our attention, to let us know that they are still here with us, experiencing life with us, but from a different perspective. They don't miss out.
I have to tell you that I've had a couple moments with ladybugs this weekend.
That too.
And today. And I know this is like prime ladybug time, but I thought about it today as I was getting in my car after school, and I noticed a ladybug was on my shirt. So I gently picked up the ladybug. I'm like, hey, what's up? So I just kind of, toss them out into the air to fly away and get in my car. And the ladybug made its way back into my car, and I shut the door, and I'm not a bug person. And I was like, I'm definitely not chilling with you in this car. But if you just happen to be one of my spirit friends, this is lovely. I'm so glad you visited, but you gotta peace out. I was like, because I did consciously think about that. I'm like, this is telling me that maybe this is significant. However, You're not taking a trip with me in my car.
Thanks for the message. You can go now.
Well, Jeffrey Peck, you rock.
You're amazing, Patrick. Thank you so much for this. It's been so much fun.
Thank you to the following super paranerds who support the show at patreon.com/big seance. Daryl, James Deacon, Melissa Armour, Anne Marie Sullivan, Genesis, Natalie, Kim Robb, Jim Budd, Josiel Lorenzo, Susan Davey, Paula Mitchell, and Amy Park Gedicke. My supporters at the Parlor guest level, who can be found at bigseance.com/parlor guests, are Linda of shimmeringmoons.com, Anne Rekovich of ozparatech.com, Christine Ferrant, Mindy Kentop, Hope Battaglia, Cassie Keller, Diane Rax, Nettie, Dina DeCastro of Dina DeCastro Astrology, Peggy Hagen, Bruce Williams, Lana and John of Carbon Lilies, David Rubenstein, and Norman and Linda Keller. That sound you just heard was the above and beyond. There's not even a category for your level of support fireworks display, because I have 5 awesome listeners who support the show at the $10 level. Glenna Becker, Steve Skinner, Kevin Gilbert, AJ Meredith, and James Wilfong. So thank you, Glenna, Steve, Kevin, AJ, and James. And thank you, Paranerds. For show notes, including links to anything we may have mentioned in this episode, visit bigseance.com. And you can continue the discussion and hang out with a great community of Paranerds by joining us in the Big Seance Parlor on Facebook. Want to hear your voice in a future episode? Go to bigseance.com/feedback to learn how. Thank you so much for listening. Unfortunately, it's time to blow the candles out, but we'll see you and light them again next time.